Should I talk more? Yeah.
Are you ready for your interview?
I am ready. Let's do this.
Okay. All right.
Besides God, who's the biggest influence in your life right now?
Definitely a hard question. More than one person for sure. Besides God, who is the greatest influence in my life, I would have to say my mom, Elvita Lubin. This lady has been through what I would call hell and back and has found heaven on earth, even despite all the trials and tribulations. She's my prayer warrior. She keeps me intact. A Haitian mom, she doesn't play any games. She has taught me how to endure, how to seek God for strength and for courage. Her faith is impeccable. I would also have to say my mom Kim, my godmother, my spiritual mom, my warrior. I have witnessed this lady beat breast cancer and smile and keep going. She took me into her home when I was in college. I really thank God for her. She has loved on me. She has nurtured me and helped cultivate me into the loving woman that I am today. And I would have to say my TT, Estella, I'm about to tear up because they all mean so much to me. Sorry. My TT, this lady has so much peace. She got 6 kids. And she just walks around with a peace that surpasses man's understanding. And every time I see her, she brings me peace. They all bring me joy. They all are my hearts in human form. And I just thank God for all of them.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Where do I see myself 10 years from now? 10 years? Can we go like maybe to 2 or 5? Okay, 10 years. I see myself with a loving family, traveling the world doing ministry, saving lives, saving the lives of children who are probably in foster care, who are being sex trafficked, who are probably in the middle of the caves somewhere, hiding, crying out for God. I see myself helping families, restoring communities worldwide. I see myself definitely probably in some type of political office, whether it's state rep or even at the White House. I see myself doing ministry, helping the lives of young ladies, teenagers, even women, men, whatever it is that God has me to do in that avenue, just pouring back and giving back what has been given to me, sharing my wisdom, sharing my knowledge, probably writing a few more books, definitely being a doctor of social work. Once that's completed, definitely going to be completed before 10 years. I see myself making a change in this world, just being the change and the great impact that I want to see.
This exactly how old were you when you started your first business?
Funny, because I was actually just sharing that story with somebody the other day. I was 14 years old when I got my first job at Winn-Dixie. And I was pushing carts, and that's okay because, hey, we all got to start somewhere. And so I was grateful for my small beginnings because my mom was a single mom of 3. So I was excited to start working at the age of 14 and to receive that opportunity so I could help out. I was playing high school basketball at the time. So anything that I could do to help out, I was grateful for. So I started working at Winn-Dixie. I actually, one day I had walked in, I was so excited because I was so proud of myself. I had braided my own hair for the first time, and it was really nice. I had been practicing all throughout the summer, but I actually finally got it down pat. I did some pinch plaits, what they used to call back in the day, back in my day. And I had burgundy in the back and black at the top, and I had curled, wanded the ends, and it was really, really pretty. I walked into Winn-Dixie, and my manager, who was a black male, said, I guess he only saw the front part of my hair. And he was like, oh, your hair looks so nice. You did that yourself? And I was like, yes, sir. And then as I kept walking and he saw the back and he saw that color, he was like, oh, Ima, come here. You're going to have to take that out. And I was like, take what out? And he was like, you're going to have to take out your hair. The color is a bit much. And I was like, it's only burgundy. It's not like it's bright red. And he was like, well, I'm going to have to take you off the schedule. And I was like, I could do you one better. you could keep me off the schedule because I'm not taking my hair out. So as on my way out, people were actually complimenting me and asking me who did my hair. So that summer I started doing hair. I walked away from Winn-Dixie and I knew then, baby, I'm probably not going to be able to work for nobody because of the entrepreneurship that God had already given me and the skills that I had in my hands. That summer, I actually made more money doing hair than I did working at Winn-Dixie. And so I've been doing hair since, and that was my first business.
How's your health been lately?
How's my health been? Very hard for me to be transparent about it because I like to, I would say, I guess, endure silently. My health has been okay. I'm resting in God. I've been in and out of the hospital, unfortunately, every month since about October of last year. Lord have mercy. God give me strength. I unfortunately was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2019. They went in and did a surgery and removed my left ovary. Unfortunately, I know that this is a really grave issue that a lot of women are dealing with right now, unfortunately, because of what's in the water, our food, what's in the air. I even have younger cousins who are not even in middle school yet who have a period because of the hormones that they're placing in food and whatnot. And it's difficult for her to stay in school because of the pain. The pain is debilitating. Unfortunately, after years of research, they're figuring out that endometriosis is a full body disease. So you never know which organ or where it's going to affect and where the pain is coming from. Some days I can't walk. Some days I just feel like I'm in turmoil. But I seek God and I keep going and I keep pushing and I keep praying because I know that victory is mine. I know that healing is mine. I know that God has the final say. And no matter what the doctors say, I am paying attention and I am listening. I am advocating for myself. But I know what God that I serve. And I know that my healing is in my hands. And I'm grateful to just be able to stand in the gap for other women and to give them hope and encourage them not to give up and to keep going.
It also says here you wrote 2 books. Can you tell me a little bit something about that?
So From Pain to Purpose, I had started writing that book, I want to say in 2015, and I got a bit discouraged because someone who I looked up to, who was like a mentor to me, when they found out what type of book I was writing because it was about my life story, they sort of kind of laughed at me and said, "You're so young." I want to say I was like maybe 22 or 23 at the time. And they was like, "You're so young to be writing a life story book." But they didn't know what all I had been through. A lot of people don't understand what all I have been through. So From Pain to Purpose is basically a story of how I was abused as a child, things that I went through as a child, my sickness as a child. I was hospitalized for over 127 days. And diagnosed as a child. I skipped the 3rd grade. So it basically starts from childhood up until I was about 29. And that book just captures everything that I went through, every obstacle I overcame. And it's a book of hope. It's a book to encourage. You can also, after every chapter, I give room for you to take notes or write your own story within those chapters so you can fully connect. And so basically that's what it is, a book about how I turned my pain and how it propelled me into my purpose, and how I just tell people that your beginning doesn't have to be your end. God literally gives you the pencil and he says, "Write it with me." And my second book is a children's book, and it's an inspirational book about how I was hospitalized as a child when I was 8 years old. And I remember being in the pediatric care unit and with other kids who were dealing with other debilitating diseases. And basically, I remember missionaries coming in there or like people coming in there to read to us or bring us toys. And I always said, "God, I am going to do that. I am going to go back to Broward General. I'm going to go back to hospitals, pediatric units, and I want to read to these kids and encourage them and give them hope." So my second book is a children's book, and it's basically sharing my story of being in the hospital and how I went through that, so those kids are able to connect a bit with me. And just to know that no matter if you're in the hospital bed or if you're outside playing, like, God still has a plan for you. And, you know, just to give them hope and encourage them while they're still there.
Very good, very good. Thanks.
You're welcome.
For anybody who might be out there watching this interview right now, do you have any advice to give them on reaching their goals?
Wow. For anyone watching this interview right now, when it comes to reaching your goals, I would say consistency. For me, I tackled everything that I wanted to see manifest in my life. And when I say tackled it, I kept pushing until I saw it. I wrote it down. The word says to write the vision down and make it plain. So, of course, writing your goals down, understanding who you are. And when I say who you are, some people, for me, I'm a multitasker. I remember playing college basketball, and I remember us traveling, going from game to game, being on the road. And I would be able to write my research papers in the middle of the night. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and it's due at 9 o'clock in the morning. Don't do what I do. This worked for me. But I understood at a very young age, I can multitask and I actually produce under pressure. It may have been because of the environment I was raised in and the trauma that I endured, but I use that to work for my benefit. So people are always asking me, oh, Ima, how is it that you doing all these things, but they get done and they're successful? I understand how I work. Now, when my professor was like, well, Ima, maybe you should try to write your term papers or do your projects, a month before, because we all have the syllabus in college. Well, the papers that I wrote in a couple of hours, I got A's, 98s, never seen anything lower. The papers that I wrote in 2 weeks, 77. I was like, oh no, I can't do that. So I would say understanding who you are, understanding your gifts and your talents, and basically writing your goals down and executing them, making a plan to execute them realistically. There's some goals that can be executed in a month. There's some goals that can be if you have a daily goal, and there's some goals that may take a year. But just don't give up and keep going.
What made you want to start a nonprofit?
Starting a nonprofit organization for me was pretty, I won't say simple, it was second nature, because I remember as a child not having much, or I remember some summers when my mom would be working, she may not have been able to buy the groceries that we wanted, but she made sure that the bills were paid, the lights were on, the water was on, we had a roof over our head, and she always cooked meals, and she also had a garden. So for me, I remember my mom always, even though we didn't have much, my mom used to always give. And I remember her donating our clothes or giving away. If she would cook a meal, she would, make sure that the neighbors were okay. Like if they ever asked for food, or even if my friends came over, everybody was eating good. And so I remember my mom always paying her tithes and just always saying, God is the reason why the more that we give, the more that we make room to receive from him. So my mom, for the most part, I remember one time, a summer, we were at the laundromat, and she only had enough to wash the clothes. She didn't have enough to dry. And so I remember Angel, this lady, I'll never forget it. Till this day, she walked up to me and she said, ask your mom if I can help her with something. And my mom, she noticed that my mom didn't really speak good English. So that's why she came up to me. And I walked over to Mommy, and my mom was a bit standoffish at first. And she said, and the lady said, tell your mom that God sent me. And so my mom said, okay. And then so I remember the lady, she walked over to the corner, I guess to the change machine, and she came back and she put about $100 of quarters in my mom's hand. And then my mom just, started to tear up a little bit. And I did too, because I remember my mom used to always say, you never know where it's going to come back. But God always has a ram in the bush, and he will always multiply what you give away. And so this lady didn't know us from a can of paint, just came out of nowhere. And then so after that, I saw her leave. And then maybe like 30 minutes later, because now we're drying the clothes, she comes back, and nobody knew that at the time. Like I said, my mom only had enough to wash the clothes. We didn't even have groceries because she was saving the rest of the money that she had to prepare us to go back to school and to do back to school shopping for our school supplies and stuff. And so the lady came back, and she pulled up around the back with her car, and she said, "Come here." And I said, "Mommy, the lady is telling me to come to her car." And so she said, "It's okay." The lady came out of the car, and she was like, "It's okay, it's okay." And my mom came out, with me, and she said, "Tell your mom to open her trunk. Like, where is her car?" The lady had groceries in her trunk. She said the Holy Spirit told her to go to the supermarket and buy groceries. And I looked up in the sky that day, and I said, "God, I want to do this for your people." I promised myself, I want to say maybe I was like 14 or 15. And I told God that year that I said, no matter what, when I grow up, I don't care, if I don't even have, because I know you'll provide. I want to be able to feed people. I want to be able to help people. I want to be able to sow into their lives. And so I started my nonprofit organization right after graduating with my master's. I went back to the community where I'm from, Fort Lauderdale, Riverland Park, and God told me to do my first back to school giveaway. That year I was actually negative because I had just graduated. My account was about negative $300, and God said, "It's not you doing it, it's me, and watch me work." And that year we were able to give away backpacks, do school supplies, do hair. Free haircuts were provided. God had me go out into the community and write sponsor letters through my nonprofit, and I was able to collect more than enough. I had agencies, businesses, other nonprofits come out, and we fed the community that year, and it was beautiful, and I've been doing it ever since.